On March 14, 2019, at 11:47 p.m., maintenance worker Gerald Hopkins descended the concrete stairwell leading to the basement storage area of Riverside High School in Millbrook, Pennsylvania. The fluorescent lights flickered as he approached the locked door marked "Authorized Personnel Only." For 3 weeks, the school's night security system had flagged motion alerts from this section of the building. Principal Watkins dismissed them as faulty sensors. Hopkins was sent to investigate. He inserted the master key into the deadbolt. The lock resisted. Someone had changed it. Hopkins radioed the security office. At 11:52 p.m., campus security officer Marcus Chen arrived with bolt cutters. The lock snapped. The door swung inward. The smell hit them first. Stale air, human waste, something medicinal. Chen reached for his flashlight. The beam swept across the room. A mattress lay on the concrete floor. Chains were bolted to the wall. A plastic bucket sat in the corner. On a folding table near the door sat prescription pill bottles, boxes of granola bars, and a laptop computer still open and running. The screen displayed a live feed from a camera mounted on the ceiling. Chen keyed his radio. "We need police here now." Millbrook Police Department received the call at 11:56 p.m. Detective Sarah Mendoza and Sergeant James Kowalski arrived at 12:14 a.m. By 12:30 a.m., the basement was sealed as a crime scene. County forensic technicians began processing the scene at 1:05 a.m. What they documented would unravel a nightmare that had persisted for nearly a decade. The room measured 12 feet by 15 feet. No windows. One door. The chains attached to the wall showed rust and wear patterns consistent with prolonged use. Forensic photographer Linda Marsh documented 23 distinct fingerprint locations, hair samples on the mattress, and biological matter on the concrete floor. The laptop remained powered on. Its screensaver had disabled at some point during the evening, revealing files labeled by dates going back to 2010. Detective Mendoza opened the laptop's video folder. The first file was time-stamped March 14, 2019, 6:47 p.m. She clicked play. The footage showed a young woman, thin and pale, sitting on the mattress. The camera angle captured the entire room. Mendoza scrolled through the directory. Hundreds of video files. Thousands of hours of footage. At 2:23 a.m., Mendoza's radio crackled. "We've got something," said forensic tech David Park. He stood near the far wall behind a storage shelf that had been moved aside. A backpack sat on the floor. Inside, a student ID card from Riverside High School. The photo showed a teenage girl with dark hair and green eyes. The name read, Emily Pritchard, date of birth, June 8, 2000. The ID had been issued in September 2009, when Emily was a freshman. Mendoza pulled the missing persons database on her phone. Emily Pritchard was reported missing on October 12, 2009, at age 15. The case remained open. No body had been found. No witnesses came forward. The investigation went cold in 2011. Sergeant Kowalski called the Pritchard family residence at 2:41 a.m. No answer. He left a message requesting immediate contact. At 3:15 a.m., he received a callback from Robert Pritchard, Emily's father. When Kowalski explained that evidence related to Emily's disappearance had been discovered, Robert's voice broke. "Is she alive?" "We don't know yet," Kowalski said. "We need you to come to the station." Millbrook was a town of 18,000 residents located 40 minutes north of Pittsburgh. Riverside High School served 1,200 students grades 9 through 12. The building opened in 1987. Its basement level housed maintenance equipment, archived records, and storage areas rarely accessed by staff or students. The room where evidence was found sat at the end of a corridor that connected to the school's original 1960s structure, a section scheduled for renovation, but perpetually delayed due to budget constraints. At 4 a.m., Principal Judith Watkins arrived at the school. Detective Mendoza met her in the main office. Watkins was 53 years old, a career educator with 27 years in the district. She appeared shaken. "How many people have access to the basement?" Mendoza asked. "Maintenance staff, custodians, myself, and the assistant principals," Watkins said. "Maybe 10 people total." "Who else?" Watkins hesitated. Teachers with storage assignments. Some of them keep equipment or materials down there. I need a list of everyone with basement access over the past 10 years. Watkins nodded. Her hands trembled as she opened her computer. By 6 a.m., the sun rose over Millbrook. News crews began arriving at Riverside High School. Police had cordoned off the building. Classes were canceled. Parents received automated calls informing them of a police investigation on campus. No details were provided. At 6:30 a.m., Detective Mendoza briefed Chief of Police Daniel Garrett. The evidence suggested long-term captivity. The video footage spanned nearly 10 years. The victim's identity appeared to match Emily Pritchard, missing since 2009. Forensic analysis would take days. The question now was, where was Emily Pritchard at this moment? At 7:12 a.m., forensic tech Linda Marsh made a critical discovery. A second backpack was found beneath the mattress. Inside, a journal. The handwriting was cramped and faded. The first entry was dated October 13, 2009. "I don't know where I am. She said it's only temporary, she promised." The entry continued for 3 pages, describing a classroom after school, a conversation with a teacher, an offer to help with a project. The name of the teacher appeared 6 times, Ms. Angela Hartwell. Angela Marie Hartwell was 41 years old in 2019. She had taught English literature at Riverside High School since 2004. Her personnel file showed commendations for teaching excellence, sponsorship of the school's debate team, and volunteer work with the district's summer reading program. Students described her as caring and approachable. Parents praised her dedication. In 2012, she received the district's Teacher of the Year award. Hartwell lived alone in a 2-bedroom rental house 3 miles from the school. She drove a 2015 Honda Accord. Her background check from 2004 showed no criminal record. She held a master's degree in education from Penn State University. Her references described her as professional and passionate about student success. Detective Mendoza obtained a warrant for Hartwell's home and vehicle at 8:45 a.m. on March 15th. At 9:20 a.m., police entered the residence. The interior was neat and organized. Books lined the walls. A cat sat on the couch. In the bedroom closet, police found a locked filing cabinet. The warrant authorized forced entry. Inside were 3 items: a second laptop computer, a burner cell phone, and a spiral notebook filled with handwritten entries. Mendoza opened the notebook. The entries were dated and detailed. They described interactions with Emily Pritchard beginning in September 2009. The tone shifted from professional observations to personal obsessions. One entry from October 2009 read, "She trusts me completely. I told her I could help her get ahead. She believes everything I say." Forensic analysis of the laptop revealed deleted files partially recovered by specialists. Among them, searches for soundproofing materials, information about Stockholm Syndrome, and articles about missing persons investigations. The browser history showed repeated visits to news articles about Emily Pritchard's disappearance. At 10:05 a.m., Detective Mendoza issued a BOLO alert for Angela Hartwell. Her vehicle was located at 10:38 a.m. in the parking lot of Riverside High School. She had arrived for work at her usual time, 7:15 a.m., unaware that police were processing the basement crime scene. Officers intercepted her as she walked toward the main entrance. "Ms. Hartwell, I'm Detective Mendoza. We need to speak with you." Hartwell's expression remained calm. "Of course, what's this about?" "We need you to come to the station." "Am I under arrest?" "Not at this time. We're asking for your cooperation." Hartwell agreed. She was transported to Millbrook Police Department and placed in Interview Room 2 at 11:04 a.m. Mendoza and Sergeant Kowalski entered at 11:15 a.m. The interview was recorded. "Do you know why you're here?" Mendoza asked. "I assume it has something to do with what happened at the school last night," Hartwell said. "Everyone's talking about police in the basement." "What do you know about the basement?" "I stored debate team materials there, boxes of books and trophies." "When were you last in the basement?" Hartwell paused. "Maybe 2 weeks ago." "Did you access the storage room at the end of the east corridor?" "I don't know which room you're referring to." Mendoza placed a photograph on the table. It showed the room with the mattress and chains. This room. Hartwell's face did not change. I've never been in that room. Your fingerprints are on the door handle. Hartwell leaned back. I want a lawyer. The interview ended at 11:22 a.m. Hartwell was detained pending further investigation. At 12:00 p.m., forensic results confirmed multiple matches. Hartwell's fingerprints were found on the laptop in the basement, on the pill bottles, and on the chains. DNA samples collected from the room included Hartwell's hair and skin cells. But the critical question remained unanswered. Where was Emily Pritchard? At 1:30 p.m. on March 15th, police obtained Emily Pritchard's medical and dental records from her family. Robert Pritchard, now 52, sat in the station's conference room with his wife, Linda. They had not seen their daughter in nearly 10 years. The last time was October 12, 2009, when Emily left for school and never returned. She was excited about her English class, Linda said. She talked about her teacher all the time, Ms. Hartwell. Detective Mendoza showed them a photo of Angela Hartwell. Both parents confirmed they had met her during parent-teacher conferences in September 2009. Linda recalled Hartwell offering extra tutoring for Emily. She said Emily had potential. She wanted to help her get into a good college. At 2:15 p.m., forensic tech David Park reported findings from the basement laptop. The video files were organized by date. The earliest file showed Emily Pritchard on October 13, 2009, the day after she was reported missing. In the footage, Emily sat on the floor, hands bound. A voice off-camera spoke to her. Audio analysis identified the voice as Angela Hartwell's. "You're safe here. No one will hurt you. I'm taking care of you." The video files continued chronologically. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Emily's appearance changed. She lost weight. Her hair grew long and unkempt. In later videos, she no longer resisted. She responded to Hartwell's voice with compliance. Forensic psychologist Dr. Ramon Vasquez reviewed the footage and identified classic indicators of trauma bonding and learned helplessness. At 3:00 p.m., police executed a second search warrant for Hartwell's rental home. This time, they focused on areas not previously examined. In the garage beneath a tarp, officers found a steel footlocker. Inside, clothing in various sizes, all women's, tags removed. Also inside, personal hygiene products, prescription medications, and a collection of photographs. The photos showed Emily at different ages and stages of captivity. Some were taken in the basement. Others were taken inside Hartwell's home. Detective Mendoza confronted Hartwell's attorney, Richard Bloom, with the new evidence at 4:30 p.m. Bloom requested a private consultation with his client. At 5:15 p.m., he returned with a statement. Ms. Hartwell maintains her innocence. She has no knowledge of Emily Pritchard's whereabouts. Her DNA is all over the crime scene, Mendoza said. Her voice is on the videos. Her fingerprints are on evidence spanning 10 years. Bloom did not respond. At 6:00 p.m., police expanded the search to include nearby properties. Hartwell had rented 3 different residences since 2009. Each was searched. At 7:45 p.m., officers arrived at a storage unit facility on Route 22, 5 miles from Millbrook. Records showed Hartwell had rented Unit 347 since November 2009. The warrant authorized entry. Inside the unit, furniture, boxes of books, and a locked metal cabinet. Bolt cutters opened it. Inside were medical supplies, restraints, and a set of keys. One key was labeled basement storage. At 8:20 p.m., Detective Mendoza received a call from forensic analyst Maria Chen. She had been reviewing the most recent video file from the basement laptop, time-stamped March 14, 2019, 6:47 p.m. In the footage, Emily Pritchard was visible. She was alive. But Chen noticed something else. In the corner of the frame, reflected in a metal bucket, was a clock on the wall. The time showed 6:52 p.m. The video continued for 18 minutes. At 7:10 p.m., a door opened off-camera. Footsteps approached. The video ended. Someone was there, Chen said. Someone removed her. Detective Mendoza assembled the investigative team at 9 p.m. on March 15th. 3 individuals had access to the basement and potential connections to Angela Hartwell: Gregory Maines, the school's head custodian; Trevor Walsh, assistant principal; and Karen Delgado, a physical education teacher who had worked closely with Hartwell on school committees. Gregory Maines, age 57, had worked at Riverside High School for 32 years. His personnel file was clean. He lived with his wife in Millbrook and had 2 adult children. Maines was responsible for building maintenance and held master keys to all areas of the school. At 9:30 p.m., Maines was brought in for questioning. He appeared nervous. "When were you last in the basement?" Mendoza asked. "Yesterday morning. I was checking the boiler system." "Did you go to the east corridor?" "No, I stay in the mechanical room mostly." "Do you know Angela Hartwell?" "Sure, she teaches here. We all know each other." "How well do you know her?" Maines shifted in his seat. "Not well. We say hello in the hallway." "Have you ever been to her home?" "No." Forensic analysis of Maines's phone records showed no communications with Hartwell outside of school-related group messages. His alibi for the evening of March 14th was verified. He had attended a church service from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. with his wife and 12 other congregants. Security footage from the church confirmed his presence. Maines was ruled out as a suspect at 10:15 p.m. Trevor Walsh, age 44, had served as assistant principal since 2013. He was responsible for student discipline and facility management. Walsh had recommended Hartwell for Teacher of the Year in 2012. He also approved her requests for basement storage space in 2010. Walsh was questioned at 10:45 p.m. "What was your relationship with Angela Hartwell?" Mendoza asked. "Professional. She's an excellent teacher." "Did you socialize outside of work?" Walsh hesitated. "Occasionally. Staff happy hours, things like that." "How often?" "Maybe twice a year." Phone records told a different story. Between 2010 and 2019, Walsh and Hartwell exchanged 1,247 text messages. Many were routine. Some were personal. In December 2015, Walsh texted, "Are you sure no one knows?" Hartwell responded, "I'm careful. Trust me." When confronted with the messages, Walsh's demeanor changed. "What was she being careful about?" Mendoza asked. "I don't remember that conversation." "You texted her 1,200 times over 9 years." Walsh requested a lawyer. The interview ended at 11:30 p.m. Walsh was detained for further questioning. Karen Delgado, age 38, taught physical education and coached girls' soccer. She and Hartwell co-chaired the school's wellness committee. Delgado had no disciplinary record and was well-liked by students and staff. Delgado was questioned at 12:15 a.m. on March 16th. "Why did Angela Hartwell give you $5,000? Mendoza asked. "I lent her money the year before. She paid me back." "Why did she need $5,000? "She said she had unexpected expenses." "What kind of expenses?" "She didn't say. I didn't ask." Bank records showed Hartwell had withdrawn $8,000 in cash during October 2009, the month Emily Pritchard disappeared. Another $3,000 was withdrawn in November 2009. The money was never deposited into any account connected to Hartwell. "Where did the money go?" Mendoza pressed. "I don't know," Delgado said. "We weren't that close." "You lent her $5,000, but you weren't close?" Delgado's attorney, present at her request, intervened. "My client has cooperated fully. Unless you have evidence of wrongdoing, we're done here." Delgado was released at 1 a.m. but remained under investigation. At 7 a.m. on March 16th, Detective Mendoza received a tip from a resident living near Riverside High School. The caller, Margaret Sullivan, reported seeing a woman matching Angela Hartwell's description entering the school late at night on multiple occasions over the years. Sullivan lived across the street from the school and often walked her dog in the evenings. "I thought she was working late," Sullivan said. "Teachers do that." "How often did you see her?" "Maybe once or twice a month, sometimes more." Sullivan's testimony corroborated the video timestamps. Hartwell had visited the basement regularly, often between 9 p.m. and midnight when the building was empty, except for security personnel. At 9 a.m., forensic analysis of the basement laptop revealed encrypted files. Digital forensics specialist Aaron Tobias worked through the encryption. At 11:30 a.m., he gained access. The files contained journals written by Hartwell, documenting her interactions with Emily over 10 years. One entry from April 2010 read, "She's adjusting. She understands now that I'm the only one who cares about her. Her family gave up looking. I'm all she has." Another entry from August 2014. "I bought her new clothes. She smiled for the first time in months. This is what love looks like." The journals revealed a disturbing pattern. Hartwell believed she was rescuing Emily from a troubled home life, despite no evidence supporting that claim. Emily's family had no history of abuse or neglect. Hartwell had constructed a delusional justification for her actions. At 1 p.m., police received a second tip. A truck driver named Dennis Calloway reported seeing a woman being led into a vehicle near Riverside High School around 7:30 p.m. on March 14th. He did not think much of it at the time, but called after seeing news coverage. Calloway described the vehicle as a dark-colored SUV. He did not see the license plate. Hartwell drove a sedan. Someone else had been involved. At 2:30 p.m., Detective Mendoza re-examined Trevor Walsh's phone records. On March 14th at 7:04 p.m., Walsh received a call from Hartwell lasting 3 minutes. At 7:18 p.m., Walsh's phone pinged a cell tower near Riverside High School. At 7:52 p.m., his phone pinged a tower 15 miles away near the town of Greenfield. Walsh drove a black Jeep Cherokee. At 3:00 p.m., Walsh was brought back for questioning. This time, Mendoza did not hold back. "Where were you on March 14th between 7 and 8 p.m.? Walsh's attorney started to object, but Walsh spoke first. "I was at home." "Your phone says otherwise. You were near the school at 7:18 p.m. Walsh's face went pale. "I went to check on something." "What?" Walsh did not answer. "Did you help Angela Hartwell move Emily Pritchard?" Walsh's attorney stood. "This interview is over." But Walsh broke. "I didn't know what she was doing, I swear. She called me in a panic. She said someone found her storage room. She needed help moving equipment. I went to help. When I got there, she had a girl with her. She said it was a student who'd been hiding out in the basement because of family problems. She asked me to drive them somewhere safe." "Where?" Walsh gave an address, 1847 Oak Ridge Road, Greenfield, a rural property owned by Hartwell's late uncle. The estate had been abandoned since 2016. At 4:15 p.m., a tactical team surrounded the Greenfield property. At 4:30 p.m., they entered. The house was dark and cold. In the upstairs bedroom, they found Emily Pritchard, alive but unconscious. Paramedics stabilized her at the scene. She was transported to County General Hospital at 5 p.m. Angela Hartwell was found in the kitchen, seated at the table. She did not resist arrest. Emily Pritchard regained consciousness at 8 p.m. on March 16th. She was 28 years old. She had been held captive for nearly 10 years. Medical examination revealed severe malnutrition, vitamin deficiencies, and signs of long-term psychological trauma. Dr. Allison Carter, the attending physician, noted that Emily had not seen daylight in years. Her skin was pale, her muscles atrophied. At 9 p.m., Detective Mendoza was granted permission to speak with Emily briefly. A trauma counselor was present. "Emily, my name is Sarah. I'm a detective. You're safe now. Can you tell me what happened?" Emily's voice was weak. She said she was helping me. She said my parents didn't care. She said I'd be better off with her. "Who said that?" "Ms. Hartwell, my teacher." Emily described being asked to stay after class on October 12, 2009 to discuss a college essay. Hartwell offered her a snack and a drink. Emily remembered feeling dizzy. When she woke up, she was in the basement. Hartwell told her it was temporary, that she needed time away from her family's toxic environment. Days turned into weeks. Emily tried to escape once. Hartwell restrained her and increased security. Over the years, Hartwell brought Emily books, movies, and personal items. She visited almost daily, sometimes staying for hours. She controlled every aspect of Emily's life: what she ate, what she wore, when she slept. Emily described a relationship that was simultaneously nurturing and suffocating. "She said she loved me," Emily whispered, "but it wasn't love, it was control." At 10:30 p.m., forensic psychologist Dr. Ramon Vasquez completed his assessment of Angela Hartwell. He diagnosed her with erotomania, a delusional disorder in which the individual believes another person is in love with them. In Hartwell's case, the delusion extended to a belief that Emily needed her for survival and emotional support. She constructed an entire reality where she was the hero. Dr. Vasquez explained to Mendoza. In her mind, she was saving Emily, not imprisoning her. At 11 p.m., forensic evidence from the Greenfield property was processed. Police found food supplies sufficient for several weeks, medications matching those in the basement, and a handwritten schedule detailing daily routines for Emily. Hartwell had planned to remain at the property indefinitely. On March 17th at 9 a.m., prosecutors filed formal charges against Angela Hartwell: kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, assault, and sexual exploitation of a minor. Additional charges related to the administration of drugs without consent were added after toxicology reports confirmed Emily had been sedated with benzodiazepines during the initial abduction and periodically thereafter. Trevor Walsh was charged as an accessory after the fact. His cooperation resulted in a plea agreement. He would testify against Hartwell in exchange for reduced sentencing. Karen Delgado was cleared of involvement. The $5,000 loan was determined to be unrelated to the crime. Hartwell had used the money to purchase supplies for the basement room. At 2 p.m., investigators reviewed Hartwell's complete digital footprint. Her internet search history revealed planning that began in June 2009, 4 months before Emily's abduction. She researched missing persons statistics, law enforcement protocols, and methods for avoiding detection. She purchased the laptop found in the basement using cash from an electronics store in Pittsburgh. She never registered the device or connected it to her home internet. At 4 p.m., forensic architect James Lynn reconstructed the basement room's modifications. Hartwell had installed the lock herself in late September 2009. She soundproofed the walls using foam panels purchased from a hardware store in Erie. She ran an extension cord from an outlet in the adjacent corridor to power the laptop and camera. Every modification was designed to be undetectable during routine inspections. At 6 p.m., Detective Mendoza met with Emily's parents. They had visited their daughter at the hospital. The reunion was emotional and complex. Emily recognized them but struggled to reconcile her memories with Hartwell's narrative. Deprogramming would take time. "Will she recover?" Robert asked. "Physically, yes," Mendoza said. "Emotionally, it's going to be a long process." Linda wept. 10 years. She lost 10 years. On March 18th, Angela Hartwell's psychological evaluation was completed by court-appointed psychiatrist Dr. Elena Ramirez. Hartwell showed no remorse. She insisted she had acted in Emily's best interest. When confronted with Emily's suffering, Hartwell rationalized it as necessary for Emily's transition to a better life. She needed structure, Hartwell told Dr. Ramirez. She needed someone who understood her. I gave her that. You imprisoned her. I protected her. Dr. Ramirez concluded that Hartwell was competent to stand trial, but exhibited profound personality disturbances consistent with narcissistic and obsessive-compulsive traits. On March 20th, forensic accountant Lisa Monroe traced Hartwell's financial activity over 10 years. In addition to cash withdrawals totaling $23,000 between 2009 and 2019, Hartwell had made purchases consistent with maintaining a captive: bulk food supplies, toiletries, clothing in various sizes as Emily grew, and over-the-counter medications. Monroe identified a critical pattern. Every 2 to 3 months, Hartwell withdrew $500 to $800 in cash. These withdrawals corresponded with timestamps on the basement videos showing new items appearing in the room. Hartwell had been meticulous in her provisioning. At 10 a.m. on March 21st, Detective Mendoza interviewed former students of Angela Hartwell. 12 individuals who had taken her English class between 2004 and 2018 agreed to speak. 9 described her as an exceptional teacher. 3 reported feeling uncomfortable with her attention. One former student, Jessica Torres, now 26, described an interaction from 2011. She invited me to her house to work on a college application essay. It felt strange. She kept asking personal questions about my family, whether I felt supported at home. I made an excuse and left. I never went back. Another student, Michael Chen, recalled Hartwell expressing unusual interest in students' personal lives. She'd ask where we were going after school, who we were spending time with. It seemed caring at first. Looking back, it was intrusive. At 2 p.m., forensic linguist Dr. Patrick O'Donnell analyzed the journals found in Hartwell's home and the encrypted files on the laptop. He identified a progression in her language from 2009 to 2019. Early entries reflected uncertainty and guilt. Later entries showed increasing justification and entitlement. By 2015, she's writing as though Emily's captivity is a mutually beneficial arrangement, Dr. O'Donnell explained. The delusion is fully formed. She believes Emily wants to be there. At 4 p.m., investigators examined Hartwell's classroom at Riverside High School. Hidden in a locked drawer in her desk was a second journal. This one focused on other students. 10 names appeared repeatedly between 2012 and 2018. Notes described their vulnerabilities, family situations, and emotional states. Hartwell had been profiling potential victims. She was planning to do this again, Mendoza said. On March 22nd, Emily Pritchard gave a formal video statement from the hospital. She described the years of isolation, the psychological manipulation, and the constant fear. She described Hartwell's insistence that the outside world had forgotten her, that her family had moved on, that she was safer in the basement than anywhere else. She told me my parents didn't file a missing persons report, Emily said. She showed me fake news articles saying the case was closed. I believed her for years. Emily also described the few moments of kindness Hartwell showed, bringing her favorite books, allowing her to watch movies, celebrating her birthday with cake. These gestures made the betrayal more profound. I thought she cared about me, Emily said, but she only cared about controlling me. At 6:00 p.m., forensic evidence linking Hartwell to the crime was compiled into a 247-page report. The evidence included DNA matching Hartwell found on restraints, clothing, and surfaces throughout the basement room, fingerprints on the laptop, medications, and locks. Video footage showing Hartwell entering and exiting the room over 10 years. Digital records of purchases and internet searches. Testimony from Trevor Walsh confirming Hartwell's involvement. Emily Pritchard's direct identification. The case was airtight. Chapter 8, Resolution. On April 3, 2019, Angela Hartwell's trial began in Allegheny County Court. The prosecution presented 187 pieces of evidence and called 34 witnesses over 12 days. The defense argued diminished capacity due to mental illness. Dr. Ramirez testified that while Hartwell suffered from delusional thinking, she understood the nature of her actions and their consequences. On April 18th, Emily Pritchard testified. She faced Hartwell for the first time since her rescue. Hartwell stared at her throughout the testimony, occasionally smiling. Emily did not break. She took my life, Emily said. She took my teenage years, my education, my freedom. She took everything and convinced me it was love. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. On April 19, 2019, they returned a verdict. Guilty on all counts. On May 10, 2019, Angela Hartwell was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. Judge Franklin Morrison addressed her directly. You exploited your position of trust. You preyed on a vulnerable child. You showed no remorse for the decade of suffering you inflicted. This court finds no mitigating factors. You will spend the rest of your life in prison. Hartwell showed no emotion. Trevor Walsh pleaded guilty to accessory charges and received 7 years in prison. He was released on parole in 2024. Emily Pritchard began trauma therapy immediately after her rescue. She enrolled in community college in 2020 and completed her associate degree in 2022. She now works as an advocate for trafficking and captivity survivors. She speaks publicly about her experience, focusing on the psychological tactics used by abductors and the long road to recovery. "I lost 10 years," Emily said in a 2023 interview, "but I'm not going to lose the rest of my life to what she did to me." Robert and Linda Pritchard moved to a new town in 2020 to give Emily space to rebuild her identity. They remain close, but respect her need for independence. Riverside High School implemented new security protocols following the case. Basement access is now restricted and monitored by cameras. Background checks for all staff were enhanced. The room where Emily was held was sealed permanently. On June 8, 2025, Emily Pritchard celebrated her 35th birthday with friends and family. It was the first birthday she chose to celebrate publicly since her rescue. She posted a message on social media. "Every day is a choice to move forward. I'm choosing freedom." Angela Hartwell remains incarcerated at State Correctional Institution Muncie. She has filed multiple appeals, all denied. In prison interviews, she continues to insist she acted out of love. She has shown no recognition of the harm she caused. The basement at Riverside High School remains empty. A plaque near the sealed door reads, "In memory of stolen years. May no child ever suffer here again."